Returning to the studio now with more on the events along the Gaza Strip this morning is founder and executive director of the Israel Institute for Strategic Studies, Dr. Martin Sherman. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me again.
Now, many are calling for another Operation Cast Lead or Protective Edge in Gaza, to end this issue of the kites, more specifically once and for all. Would you?
Well, unless you think the Palestinians are going to morph into something that they haven't been for the last 100 years and show very little sign of them turning into in the foreseeable future, clearly the policy up to now has failed. And I mean the policy up to now, including limited campaigns that were waged in the past. I think it was cast-led in 2008-9, Pillar of Defense in 2012, I think it was, and more recently, Protective Edge in 2014.
Well, when you say Palestinians, are you speaking about the governments? Because again, there is a humanitarian crisis.
I think it's a mistake to separate between the two, because the Gaza population is not the victim of the terrorist leadership. It's the crucible from which that leadership emerged and in which it was formed. And basically, and this might sound a little harsh, but basically in the long run, there are either going to be Arabs in Gaza or Jews in the Negev. It doesn't look like they're going to be both. And unless the IDF takes strategic action, which means taking over Gaza and deconstructing rather than reconstructing Gaza, I see the bleak future continuing.
The Israeli government does seem to want to alleviate the humanitarian crisis that exists in the Gaza Strip, and Israel has just approved a privately funded plan to build a massive solar field to aid, Gaza's power crisis. Israel is also now in talks with Cyprus regarding a potential seaport in Gaza.
That's a total inversion of causality, because the enmity towards Israel in the Gaza Strip and elsewhere, by the way, is not the consequence of Israeli action. The economic distress there is being caused by the enmity towards Israel. So the economic distress is the consequence, not the cause of the enmity there.
But the question is, does violence end violence?
A good question which you should ask the Gazans. All the Gazans need to do to end the humanitarian crisis there is nothing. Just stop trying to kill Jews and allow Israeli inventiveness and Israeli enterprise to turn the Gaza Strip into what they turned Israel, from a struggling, poor industrial, agricultural country into a post-industrial country leading the world in just about every field of human endeavor and generating great prosperity. That's all the Gazans need to do. It's just end the violence.
All right. Thank you for joining us.